Coach Maynor, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you for taking some time to join us. Coach, obviously, open date this past weekend for your team. If you could kind of just recap that and talk a little bit about your upcoming opponent, the Jackson State Tigers.
Yeah, open week, same old. Didn't get opportunity to play again, unfortunately, due to COVID again. So we just had a string of bad luck with that. And, same old, try to get healed up, a couple of days off, fundamentals, and get ready to try to play this week. So, yeah, we got Jackson coming up this week. Be a big game. They still in it on their side, on our side, and I think it's homecoming up there and national television game. And we just ready to play again, man. We only play one football game, so we're ready to hit somebody else. And we look forward to this opportunity. It's a big opportunity, and it'll be a great football game. We look forward to it.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. We'll now open up the floor for questions. Our first question goes to Tally Carr.
Hey, Coach Maynor, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Covering you, for a while since you've been a coach, you're very unique from the standpoint of you're like super intense when it's time to be intense, and then you have this outgoing, gregarious personality when it's time to have fun. Coach Sanders is a big personality as well, so a lot of people are looking forward to the game from that standpoint. All the big personalities involved. My question to you though is, how have you learned over the years how to balance that and to make it work? Like when you got to be serious and really buckle down, and then keep the attitude and mood loose at the same time with your personality.
I always tell my players it's time to play and time to be serious. And I'm a player's coach, and I can have my arm around them and tell them a joke one second, and 10 seconds later I could be chewing them out because they did something wrong. So they understand that about me, that I'm gonna be right there. I treat them like a brother or a son, but then as soon as they step out of line, I'm gonna hold them to the fire. And that's because I have to hold them accountable to get them ready for the real world. And that's what I'm trying to do. So that's kind of how I balance it. And like you said, I like to have fun and talk some smack and get guys going and sell tickets, whatever it takes. I like doing that type stuff. But at the end of the day, I got to have my team ready to play.
And just a really quick follow-up, and I'm done. Is there a difference when you are familiar with the opposing coach that you can have a little more fun with him because you know his personality, or does that really matter to you at all?
Oh, no, that matters a lot. Me and Coach Hill-Eley, we really go at each other and have a lot of fun with the Magic City Classic and talking to each other. We talk just about every week. So I can say some stuff when we play those guys that I can't say when I'm playing other teams. And coaches I don't really know. I really don't go there with them guys until I really get to learn them. But everybody knows that everything I do is for fun and just showmanship.
Next question comes from Keisha Kelly with the Black College Experience.
How you doing this morning, Coach?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm good. So I guess I'll kind of go off of Tally. I know this is your first conference game, and I know the guys I keep up with all of y'all on Twitter and all the stuff they've been saying, and I know they're pretty much ready. How confident are you feeling about this upcoming week's game and your preparation? How are the guys feeling?
Well, we're excited. We feel good about our team, but at the end of the day, we only play one game. Jackson, this will be Jackson's sixth game of the season. So we only got one game at game speed. We're not making any excuses. We'll be ready to play. But we just can go out and play hard for 4 quarters and see what happens.
Thanks, Coach.
No problem.
Next question comes from Rashad.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good, Rashad. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Just in those 5 games that you have seen from Jackson on film, what have you seen? What do you really like from them?
They play hard. They don't give up. They got down a couple times, especially against Grambling, a couple touchdowns, and came right back. Turned the corner and came right back. And they're not going to quit. They're not where they want to be right now, But they're gonna keep fighting, and we're gonna see what happens. You know, they got a good football team, got good coaches, they well coached, so we have to be prepared.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any more questions for Coach Maynor with Alabama A&M? Final questions for Coach. Okay, as always, Coach, appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Okay, time is now 10:15. We'll now move to Coach down Hill-Eley with Alabama State. Once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Coach, as always, thank you for joining us. Obviously, your team stepped out for some non-conference action this past weekend versus South Carolina State. If you would please start us out with an opening statement about your most recent game.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. We had an opportunity to play South Carolina State this week. Tough game, tough fought game. Never really could get anything going offensively as far as scoring, but, was able to move the ball, beat them in every category but the scores box, which is the only one that mattered. I think it was in the red zone 8 times and came away with 7 points. Just again with everything that's going on, we kind of started slow the whole week. We ended up in the protocol, couldn't practice 2 days. And then when we got back out on Wednesday, still felt that it would be enough time to prepare and get the guys ready to play. But, we're dealing with a bunch of young kids, and it just seemed like for some of them, it just never came on. I guess they got into a rut that they figured we weren't going to play. Then all of a sudden we're going to play. And, just couldn't get them motivated enough to go out and make the plays that they've been making week in and week out. South Carolina State has a good football team, and they play very stout defense. Our defense plays stout. We had breakdowns in our kicking game. Probably should have been up 21 points going into the locker room, but, that's neither here nor there when you're not making your plays. So, we'll bounce back from it, get ready for conference play against a very good and improved Mississippi Valley. Coach Dancy got those kids flying around, making plays, offense, defense, and special team. And we know we got our work cut out for us, and we have a lot of things to fix with these guys to get them ready for Saturday.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. We'll now open up the floor for questions from our media. Our first question comes from Tyler.
Hey, good morning, Dr. Ely.
Good morning.
I was wondering, I don't know how much film you've had a chance to watch, but Mississippi Valley State, after a long layoff, seemed to show a lot of improvement against a very tough UAPB team this past weekend. Have you had a chance to see the areas that Valley has improved from their first game to their second game?
Definitely in the fronts. They're playing very well in the defensive front. They have a lot of guys with motors that's getting upfield. They're playing great in the secondary. Offensively, they're doing a good job. The quarterback is managing the team, is getting the ball to guys that's making plays. Other than the punt return that they had been playing extremely well in the special team. So, they're doing what they do, and they've gotten better from their first game versus Jackson, and you can see the improvement that they've made. We knew that from watching the tape of them versus Jackson, they only had 3 days of practice, pretty much like we had versus South Carolina State. And when you're going against good opponents, that's not enough time. And then it shows now that when they went against UAPB, when they can practice and get everything, get the players lined down and get the chemistry, it shows that they got a real good football team.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Next question comes from Charles Bishop.
How you doing, Coach?
Good morning. Good morning.
You kind of touched on it in your opening monologue there with regards to being in COVID protocols at the beginning of the week. But I wanted to ask, do you think the big win against Jackson State, if it played any sort of factor into the game with South Carolina State in terms of emotional letdown, maybe?
No, we had another opportunity to go out and play at the UAPB after Jackson State, and it showed that the kids had a lot of momentum in that UAPB game before it was called. We got back from UAPB. We ended up, one of the kids was positive that was on the trip. So we had to shut down Monday, had to shut down Tuesday. So that's no coaches, no players in the facility until everybody can be tested. Administration, went above and beyond, got everybody tested. Now you get in Wednesday trying to put a game plan together for a team that has been preparing for you for 2.5 weeks. So, either way, you got to get it done. And, but again, those kind of things is what cuts into the mindset. These young men, they get used to procedures and things that you do. So they know this is what I do on Sunday. This is what I do on Monday. This is what I do on Tuesday. So once they get acclimated to what happens every single day, and now you change up something, you throw the whole process of preparing off. So now that I'm giving a guy a scouting report on Wednesday when he got it, normally would get it on Monday, it throws off everything. Some of these kids need 2 and 3 extra days of just learning what you want them to do. We have a lot of guys that learn by being on the field and not by cognitive, and you got to be able to rep them through it. Some of those days was cut back, but again, I still think plays here, plays there. We still had a chance to have some success. Our timing was just off from doing that. You look at defense played well, and anybody that plays the game tell you defense is constructive. It's easier to tear down things than build. Offenses are constructive. So it takes time. Everybody has to be on the same timing when you're talking about running plays and running concepts. So I don't believe that nothing had anything to do with Jackson. We had 2 weeks in between that game. This game mainly had to do with more of the psyche and the mental of this new normal that we're in.
Sure thing. Looking forward to Mississippi Valley State. Are there any specific players that stand out on film for you? Again, the defensive front, 99 has a motor for days. You have, the quarterback plays well, running back, they have some receivers, they got some personnel. So again, we have to be on our top game to play a much improved Mississippi Valley. Sure thing. Thank you, Coach.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time and look forward to speaking with you again next week.
All right. Appreciate you all and have a great day.
Okay. I have 10:25. Coach Fobbs, good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. How you doing?
Outstanding, Coach. Appreciate you asking. Coach, obviously, I know your team is currently paused. If you could just kind of give us an update of your program right now.
Well, it's a frustrating and tough situation, but, all of us are dealing with the same, concerns, all across our conference. It's just one of those situations, we had to shut down, for the last couple of weeks. Would have been good to really get out there and play and go to Alabama, but then also go to Houston to play 2 really good football teams. But, obviously it's just not, in the cards, at this particular time, so we're getting everybody back in the saddle, as of today, making sure that we continue to get tested, which we've been doing, for the last, 10 days or so. And really just wanting to get back to work, so that we can get back on the field and put this plan together, to play next week, but we're still not out of the woods yet. We're testing today. We'll test again on Wednesday and then also test again on Friday to make sure that we're safe and prepared and ready to go.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. We'll now open up the floor for questions for our media. Once again, if you do have any questions, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get in the queue to ask questions for Coach. I do believe I saw Jim turn on his camera. So the first question will go to Jim Kleinpeter.
Yeah, Coach, just from what you're saying, the soonest y'all are going to get back on the field would be Saturday?
No, the soonest we can get back on the field actually would be, Tuesday, which is tomorrow. We wanted to make sure we got another test under our belt, which is today, before we were able to get back on the practice field, because what I didn't want to do was get everybody back on the field on today and hadn't had the test until, today. And then, we create a situation where now, we're done. So So we're just trying to use precaution and make sure that, that everyone is staying safe and everyone is healthy. So the first thing we're doing today is testing, and then after that, we'll see how that goes once that's completed here, at noon, and then we'll get back to work tomorrow.
Are your players doing any conditioning or weightlifting? Are they able to do anything like that off the practice field?
A couple of the kids that are in quarantine, they are able to work out. They just have to work out individually. Now, those that are in isolation, of course, they can't. They have to stay in isolation. So it's been kind of tough. It's one of those situations where you got, student athletes trying to lift weights and work out on their own, and use other facilities. They can't use our facilities. So it's a tough situation, but it is what it is. And we're just, wanting everybody to be safe and get back to work, hopefully tomorrow.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, obviously a little bit extra time here to prepare for your next opponent on paper, which is Southern. In your film study, what have some of the things that have stood out about the Southern Jaguars?
Well, it's the same Southern football team, man. You're gonna get a well-coached, physical bunch that's highly motivated. I've always said it since I've been here at Grambling that Coach Odums does an exceptional job, and in my opinion, he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. He's a hell of a football coach. He's a top-tier football coach. He's one of the top coaches in this conference, and there's a lot of coaches in this conference that are exceptional. But I've always, thought very highly of him, how he organizes his team, how he motivates his team, how his team plays. They're extremely tough, they're extremely physical, and they're big, and that's something that they've always been, really, really good at, and that's something that's a staple of an Odums football team.
Next question comes from Corey.
Hey, Coach, you got me?
Hey, Corey. Yes.
Hey, man. Sorry, my video function's messing up this morning. But for you guys, if you are unfortunately unable to get back on the practice field tomorrow, is there a target date that you guys are kind of having in mind at this point where, okay, if we can't get back on the practice field by this date, that you would have to pull out of the Bayou Classic?
I don't know exactly that particular date, but I do know, we have to be able to. We're approximately, let me guess, what about 12 days away from the game when you really look at it. And if something does occur, you're supposed to stay in isolation for 10 days. So we're kind of at that point, maybe give or take a day or two. Hopefully we won't have any more positive tests. And if we don't have any more positive tests, then we're good to go. But you also have to have time to prepare also too. So if you take 10 days away from us, that puts us at the 15th. And in 5 days, you have to try to prepare and put a plan together and have been apart, for, 3 weeks when you really look at it. So of course we're not out of the woods, but we're just crossing our fingers and hoping that, that we can stay safe for, another couple of days so that we can get back together and put a plan in place.
And as a quick follow-up to that, how many guys are you anticipating getting back from that initial set of positives and an initial contact trace that you guys had to do? How many guys are you planning to get back sometime this week?
Somewhere around, give or take, a couple days. We'll trickle in some guys, 4 or 5 guys today, and then later on in the week we'll get another 4 or 5 guys back. So we're somewhere around 5 to 10 that we'll get back. But most of it is quarantine because a large number of our players were around those guys. So playing it safe and the administration doing their job. We wanted to basically shut this thing down and make sure we test everybody so that no other positives will come forward.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you.
Any final questions for Coach? Final questions for Coach Fobbs. All right, we do have a question. Next question goes to Ken.
Coach, let me ask, just given the current situation that you're in the event that everything goes as planned and you do get that opportunity, I guess, to maybe practice on that Monday before, just how difficult will that be trying to prepare for the Bayou Classic with basically 5 days left to do so?
It would be tough, Ken. It's a tough deal, but everybody's dealing with, the same thing. You just heard, Coach Ely talk about it. It's extremely tough. This game that we play it's played in a way where you have to touch each other. You have to be around each other. You have to, be in groups together. And this pandemic that we're in doesn't allow that. So it would be, yes, extremely tough, to do that. But it's something that everybody's dealing with, and if we're able to get things back on track and do all the things that we need to do, then of course, we'll be there. You always want to put your best foot forward, and this spring season hasn't been our best foot, but you're always trying your best to put your best foot forward. And and these are other wrinkles, in the road that really make it tough to do that, but it's the same for everyone.
Any final questions for Coach? Coach, as always, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we are at 10:35, and we will begin our next media availability session with Coach Doc Gamble from Arkansas Pine Bluff. Once again, media, if you do have questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get in the queue to ask Coach a question. Coach Gamble, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you for joining us. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's win over Mississippi Valley State.
Another good win for us. Very happy about being able to come away with a win and at a tough place to play. Our guys played well throughout the game, and we were able to pull a close one out here later on in the game. Coach Dancy and that crew, he's done a great job with those guys, and he has a good team. And we knew that going in, and they had some time off to really prepare. And, but we went up and took on the challenge, and it's the first time for me going up there to play at their place, being on the other side of it with a win. Went up there in 2012 when I was with Alcorn State, and we lost one, and then in 2018. So, and those were with first-year head coaches. So in the back of my mind, I'm a first-year head coach and going up into their place and playing. So we're excited about the win and happy to be where we are right now.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. We'll now open the floor up for questions for our media for Coach Gamble. Coach, obviously your next scheduled opponent, Prairie View A&M. In your film preparation and study of the Panthers, what are some of the things that have stood out?
Well, we're just getting started. Right now we're taking care because we got a bye week here this week. We're going to take care of the guys we have here to get some guys. We got some bumps and bruises, and, we got to have our guys attack treatment like never before because we do have Prairie View coming up, and they're well coached. Good staff. Usually bump into some of their staff members on the road while on the road recruiting down in New Orleans, and they actually have about 4 guys that I actually recruited while here and as well as at my previous school. So good ball club, good coaches. Good offensive mind, good great imagination. Not just imagination. Guys have they could be a challenge for you offensively. Because the head coach is really good, and I think he's gotten to where he is today because of how good he is, and then the defensive staff do a good job as well. Those guys play hard, and it's going to be a challenge.
Appreciate that, Coach. Next question comes from Charles.
How you doing, Coach Gamble?
Good. How about yourself?
The question I wanted to ask is talk a little bit about Tyron Ralph, how he complements your receiving core, and especially what he does for you in the special teams.
Tyron's a dynamic guy. He's a dynamic player. He can hurt you as a wide out, and he can hurt you as a returner, as it showed up here this past week. He's been good, and he's been good since we've gotten here. And he's a guy that he's going to give everything he has throughout the entire game. And He actually tapped his helmet a little bit a couple of times during the game. And I looked, I said, "No, you can't come out right now, man. You got to go." So and he said, "All right, coach." And I think I used the timeout so he can get a breath, So, but that's how valuable he is. Good player.
Sure thing. Thank you, Coach.
Coach, I believe on the prior call, you spoke a little bit about the atmosphere of playing at Valley, being a challenging environment to play, obviously from a travel standpoint, maybe not one of the easier trips to get in and out of. But when you look back at the game, obviously a very competitive game, what are some of the things that you pinpointed maybe that they were able to have some success against you guys that maybe led to a little bit of a slower start from what you're used to?
Well, they're a team that they're not going to beat themselves. You got to beat them. And you really have to, especially going up and playing them at their place, you got to play well early. And if you don't give yourself a chance early on, then it's going to be a dogfight for you. And we knew that as well. So, the key for us was to try to get off to a great start and try to make them play a different brand of football. And we weren't able to do that. We moved the ball, but we struggled putting the ball in the end zone there in the first quarter. Then we got things moving a little bit. Again, in the second quarter, got a little bit better, got into a better rhythm. But still, it was some very similar things that happened in the game that happened in 2018. We got a lead and defense was playing really well. And then boom, they hit one to the house with the running back, who's really a good football player as well. He took one to the house. And then I was like, oh man, it's, overtime again, possibly. We got to make a play. And then, down special teams unit came into play. But it's funny because it was the same end zone, right about the same spot on the field where the guy just before was a quarterback that hit a home run on us with his legs, and this time was a good running back. So that popped one through to tie the game. So we knew we was in a dogfight, but I think our guys responded really well to it.
Next question comes from Ken.
Coach, how you doing? Hey, given how everything has gone for you so far this season, with the wins over Grambling, Southern, and everyone else up to this point, do you find it difficult to maybe keep your players motivated to maybe potentially not play down to your opponents? Do you find that to be somewhat of a challenge given what you've had, the successes you've had so far this season?
We haven't been in a position not to play down to anybody. We got to play up to a standard. We got to set a standard. We haven't been in that position now, or this position. So for us, it's just reducing the outside noise. I tell the guys, you got to clear the clutter. For every pat on the back you got, you also don't have about 10 haters too. So, we just got to make sure we clearing the clutter and trying to reduce the outside noise, as much as the outside noise as possible. Typically they don't get a good job from me as much as they might get from other people, but that's just because we're pushing and trying to get something accomplished as a team, as an organization, and as a university.
Currently taking questions for Coach Gamble with Arkansas Pine Bluff. Coach, as always, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week.
All right, thank you.
All right, I do have 10:45 here on my clock. Happy to be joined by Coach Dancy. Do we have Coach Dancy with us?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Hey, good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing good, and you?
Doing great, Coach. Appreciate you asking. Coach, if you could please, obviously, very highly competitive, entertaining game broadcast this past weekend at your home stadium on ESPN3 against Arkansas Pine Bluff. If you could just start us out with an opening statement about the game.
First of all, I want to, give Coach and his coaching staff and his team credit on the win, on the victory on Saturday. Very good, well-coached football team that we played. But I thought we were better at spurts of the game. I thought we had the better team. I thought we showed that we were the better team. It was just the difference in the ball game with the turnovers that we put up on ourselves. I think the second quarter we knew that they were a second quarter team and that they needed to score that second quarter. And they came out. I think we fumbled the ball on a punt return, which set them up for a score. And then they came back out and again, in special teams, we knew that they were that they were capable of things in special teams, and they pooch kicked us and they recovered that before the half and allowed them to score before the half. And then the fourth quarter, the punt return touchdown. We gave that touchdown up, and again, it was things that we did to ourselves. It was nothing that they did to us. I think if we don't do those, if we don't have those mistakes or those blunders throughout the course of the game, I think we win that game. We put ourselves in position to win. I thought our defense played superb, not allowing them to score a touchdown the whole second half. And like I said, we offensively we gotta do more. We gotta score more points. But I thought we had at times we did great things offensively. We outrushed them. Almost 5 yards a carry, 144 yards rushing. So had some bright areas. We just didn't come away with the win.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach. We'll open up for questions for our media. Our first question comes from Tolly.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
2 questions for you. I'll just put it all into one. What was some of the biggest areas of improvement you saw between your first game and your second game that you were happy to see? And if you could tell us your thoughts on Alabama State's quarterback Nettles and the kind of problems he presents as you get ready for those guys.
To answer your first question, I thought defense, we didn't give up the big plays, the touchdown. They converted some third downs early on, but that first game, those third downs were touchdowns, big play touchdown. And we gave up a lot of those in the first half of the game, and we didn't do that this game. We made them earn every yard that they got. And so that was the biggest adjustment. I mean, the biggest thing from the first game and the second. And I thought our offense moved the ball well. But we just didn't score the ball. We put ourselves in position to score early on in the game. We scored. We got a field goal out of one possession. We come back, we move the ball, and we miss a field goal. So that easily could have been, 6 points right there in the first quarter. So those were the 2 biggest things: offensively moving the ball and being able to at least get a field goal or points out of it. And defense, not allowing big plays, making every yard a tough yard. And going into the game against Alabama State, a kid that can run the ball. He's a runner and a thrower, but he wants to, when he drops back, he can hurt you with his legs. And that's something that makes coordinators scratch their head when a quarterback can beat you with his legs and his arm, but especially more with his legs, because you want to contain him in that pocket. But if he can get a first down on third down by running, that kind of demoralizes the defense. So we got to contain that young man and also contain those receivers. But to me, they got a dynamic running back that doesn't get a lot of credit. And I think they rely on him more than we can see it. So we got to stop that run game and make him a passing quarterback. That's what we want to do. We want to make him a passer and not a runner.
Next question comes from Ken.
Coach, the one constant that we've heard from opposing coaches is how. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear you.
Okay. The one constant that we've heard from opposing coaches is how hard your team plays. And those of us who followed you so far this season have actually seen, I guess, the improvement in your team's play. But if you had to, I guess, break it down to maybe 1 or 2 things that's literally prevented you from, that hard play resulting in wins, what would be the 1 or 2 things that you would point to that's kind of prevented you from getting over the top?
You mean the team, right? Team winning games, right?
Right. Exactly.
The team winning games. Okay. I think when it's all said and done, when you got a defense who plays outstanding week in and week out, and I thought our defense for the last 2 games, going into the first half of Jackson State, I always said I looked at that as a scrimmage. Because prior to, we only had 7 practices, no scrimmage. So I thought that first half was just a scrimmage. Our guys had to get used to the game speed, referees being on the field. And then that second half, we came out and we was a totally different team against Jackson State. Defense didn't allow but 1 touchdown, but that was later on in the game. Offense moved the ball. We got in the red zone 4 times. We just didn't capitalize. So I looked at the Jackson State game as we was getting our feet wet. It was a scrimmage for us. And then this game, I thought we had a chance to win. But if you talk about getting over that hump, you got to look at offensively. Our quarterback play has to improve. No matter what team you own, you look at that side of the ball, and that position right there has to be your best position. And I think we have to take more steps in a positive direction when it comes to our offense and our quarterback plays. You got to make those big plays. We got to execute more down the field plays and win more 50-50 ball, more explosive plays. And I think that all starts with the quarterback position. And I think that's the only way we get over the hump once we get to that point where we can make those big plays when those opportunity comes, offensive wise. But program wise, man, I never talk about it, but just give me what I need. If you give me everything that I need to win, and I won't even say win because we're putting ourselves in situations to win with what we have. But if I had what I needed, then who's to say will I win? I can't say because you still have to play a game. But I think you'll see a whole lot different, a better program, obviously. But more wins will come along with it when you really invest in something that you want to see grow.
So to follow up on that, what exactly does your program need that you don't have that you think
and I can go into a lot of things. It's a lot of things from my end that I can go into, but it's just the small things. Of course, everybody should know. We're limited funded. So, when you talk about scholarships, of course we know we don't have the scholarship limit that everybody else has. And of course that can be a deciding factor in a lot of areas when it comes to winning games, having the depth that you need, having scholarship players playing more than you would walk on. So it's a lot that comes, it's a lot of variables that plays into it. Don't want to get into all of them, but I feel that, this program is headed in the right direction. But if we want to turn that curve, you really have to invest into something that you really truly believe in.
And just for clarification, Coach, what is your scholarship count right now?
We're right about 40 scholarships.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
All right.
Any final questions for Coach? Final questions for Coach Dancy with Mississippi Valley State. Coach, as always, thank you for taking some time to join us, and we look forward to speaking with you next week.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Happy to get started here for our coach availability with Prairie View A&M. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, Coach. Appreciate you asking. Coach, if you would please just kind of start us out. Obviously, there's been some positives with your program. So just kind of a status update on the current state of your program.
Well, just keeping the guys in good spirits. The guys are working hard and understanding that, a lot of times you want to put that hard work in, and at the end of the week, get something from that. But the guys understand, have a mature team that's very veteran team, I should say, that understand the situation that's going on throughout the not just Prairie View, but the world. So we understand that, and we're just taking day by day and just continue to prepare ourselves for the next contest.
All right, appreciate that, Coach. We'll open up the floor for questions from our media for Coach Dooley with Prairie View A&M. Coach, obviously a few extra weeks of preparation with the cancellation of the Southern game. So on paper, obviously your next opponent is Arkansas Pine Bluff. When you look at them kind of in your early film study and preparation, what are some of the things that have stood out about their team?
Well, you got a team that's playing with confidence, a team now that understands how to win. And then, you just hear it from time to time throughout the segments with the different coaches. A well-coached football team, which I've been saying that within this conference all the time. We got a lot of great coaches within this conference. So you got a team that playing with high confidence level right now. They're very explosive offensively, and their defense is playing sound football. So and then you got a real they're very chancy at the in the special team department. So with those things going right there, everything is clicking on all cylinders, and those guys are playing well football, and they're well coached.
Coach, you kind of touched on what my follow-up was just in regards to their special teams play. Obviously, you have to remain alert with them, right, on every kickoff or any type of special team situation. Obviously, the pooch kick that they recovered from Mississippi Valley State. When you look at their special teams play, is that just something obviously that you just appreciate guys as far as just being aware of situations so that you aren't caught off guard?
Well, we try to make sure we take care of every detail. We believe in scratching where it itch at. So we're going to look at all the parts of the as far as playing a football game. And we know that those guys do a good job. And it should be that way. You got to play all three phases of the game, offensively, defensively, as well as special team wise. So we understand that. We get a chance to study those guys and see the things that they're doing and detail it out and prepare for a great football game.
Appreciate it, Coach. Our next question comes from Terrence.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Going well. How is it going for you?
All right. Hey, I just wanted to ask you, and I don't know, maybe this is a fair question or not, but given everything that you guys have dealt with these last few weeks, do you still think that this has been a good idea? To have this season during the spring, has it been as beneficial as you hoped?
And it's not just me. I think it has been beneficial because you just got to think you never know how the cards are going to be played or what hand you're going to be dealt, but you just got to take them as they go. And I think that, when I look at our commissioner, I thought he did a great job of putting this together. We all don't know. No one had the answers, even when playing in the fall. It could be the same thing. So I thought it was great because now it gives the student athletes a sense of normalcy, something that they miss. You had teams playing and facing one another that haven't played football in 400 plus days. And that's not the norm. So I thought it was a great idea, regardless, everything is not going to be the same. Everybody's not going to be dealt the same hand. But at the end of the day, we all had an opportunity to go out and play something that we love. That's football.
Okay, thanks.
Currently taking questions for Coach. Okay, next question comes from Ken.
Coach, given the uniqueness of the spring football season, I reflect back to something that Commissioner McClellan said when he indicated that he was going to try to adjust the spring season somewhat similar to a typical spring practice season. Given everything that you've encountered up to this point, stoppage, in play, trying to prepare, not knowing whether you're going to play again, do you operate in the sense of a typical usual spring session, or do you operate this in the sense of a normal football season? How do you juggle that, and how do you operate your program given where we are right now with this uniqueness in the spring season?
Well, I say normal. The reason why I say normal because we teach our young men that in life you're going to have to make adjustments. You make plans, and we don't believe in plan B because we believe that plan A is going to work, but you got to make adjustments and have sudden changes. So we understood what was taking place and was prepared for all of it. Now, do you weather that storm when that time presents itself? That's when you find out the true testament of what you believe in. And I think our young men did a great job understanding the circumstances, that what could happen and what didn't happen. And we, the biggest thing we just try to say, just continue to do your part, control what you can control, and just don't let it be your fault.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Coach? All right, next question comes from Terrence.
Coach, how, and I think you touched on this a little bit, but how have you kept your team engaged? During these last few weeks, how have you kept them excited and really chomping at the bit with the uncertainty?
Well, I'm a personal person, and I like to stay very, very well involved. So I kind of think I can still play a little bit. So I kind of like make sure I stay involved with those guys and try to touch everything. You heard me use that phrase, we try to scratch where it itch at. And, a lot of times it's not about football. It's about that mental piece, how the families are doing, just making sure we connecting and showing just from a manly point of view, the love. And I think most student athletes appreciate that when they understand that you not only do you care about them as a football player, but just as a person, individual. So we stay engaged, we stay meeting, thank God for the Zoom. That have created a new method of staying in touch now. So we get together now just for anything. We can come together and meet as a group, and everyone can see each other's faces. A lot of times it's not about to say something, just to see one another, because everyone is not going to say how they're doing, but you can see how an individual is doing. So I thought the young men have done a good job. The seniors that I've asked to step up, I thought they did their part, and the maturity just shows.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach? All right, next question comes from Keisha Kelly with the Black College Experience.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine, all in fun. You said you like to challenge the guys. Did the guys beat you, or did you beat the guys?
I'm always a winner. Nah, I had that age crept up. I just challenged them. I ain't say that I go out physically and challenge them. My mind, I can talk a great game, but those young men, they enjoy it. They just to keep them on their toes, just to keep them involved in everything, and let them know that life is really joy. It's all about joy. So just try to keep them going, and I think the coaching staff, I should say, have done a great job with being involved with those young men as well as the university.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach? Coach, as always, thank you for taking some time to join us, and we look forward to speaking with you next week.
Thanks for having me.
All right, time is now 11:05. Once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Happy to be joined by Coach Odums. Good morning, sir.
Hey. Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. Appreciate you asking. Coach, obviously you traveled to Jackson, Mississippi this past weekend, and your team left there with a win over the Jackson State Tigers. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your most recent game.
Well, I thought our guys were locked in for 2 weeks. I thought the coaching staff, the players, they did an outstanding job of just making sure that we execute at a high level and play our kind of football. And I thought the guys did that from start to finish. They're a good football team, well-coached football team. I think they had 2 penalties. So, and I think we had 7 penalties. That's a sign of discipline when you're playing against teams that don't beat themselves. I thought offensively, defensively, and special teams, I thought we played well. And that's the biggest thing, is just making sure that you execute. You can have game plans and come up with creative game plans, but guys got to execute. And that's what we've been harping on. Everybody knows that normally our football team get better as the season go along. And you saw that on Saturday. I thought our guys played, again, with the right passion, the right excitement, the right energy, and the attention to detail. And when you do that, you give yourself a chance to be successful. I thought defensively we was good on third down. And if you're going to be good on third down, you give yourself a chance to be successful. But we know that Jones was good at the quarterback position. We had to do an outstanding job of containing him. And for the most part, I thought we did that as a defense. We knew our corners was going to have to play big on defense. And I thought throughout that game, they played big on defense. Offensively, take my hat off to our offensive line, offensive staff. Those guys did an outstanding job. We possessed the ball. We scored. And when you do that, you give yourself a chance to be successful. We ran the football. And everybody knows that that's definitely who we are. We run the football. We want to rush the football. We don't play an exciting style, throw the ball down the field. Our style is equivalent to winning. We want to win football games. And whatever offensive game plan that is, we want to make sure that it's a creative one to give us an opportunity to score points. But this game plan was a chance for us to run the football, and I thought we did that well. Special teams, I thought Cesar was great. He gave us a chance. We executed PATs and field goals. We were perfect. We didn't let number 4 hurt us in the return game. And when you can do that, you're going to have a chance to be successful. But again, I thought all 3 phases played well enough for us to win the football game. And when they do that, that gives us a chance.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. We'll now open up the floor for questions from our media. Our first question comes from Jim.
You'd think I'd learn this by now. Coach, what is the status of the Prairie View game? Is it canceled or is it still just postponed? What's your understanding on that?
But my understanding is that it's canceled. Our last game, as of right now, is next week in the Bayou Classic.
Mm-hmm. And that would be the fourth week in a row that you've had to play coming off an open date. Are you getting good at that, or is that something that always presents a negative challenge?
Well, Jim, what we try to do is control the things that we can. We knew that this season was going to be some adversity. We knew schedules were going to change. We knew postponements were going to happen. We knew cancellations were going to take place. But at the end of the day, you have to adapt and overcome. And that's been a big part of why we've been successful, is that we just go with the flow. Whatever's next, we got to focus on that. And we know we got to buy, so we got to put a plan in for this week and get ready to go play our next opponent. And we'll do that. And I think that's just something everybody got to face. It's not just us. You just never know. You never know with where we are in today's times with what's next.
I want to ask you this question again. I asked you after the game. Is that as locked in and a complete a game as you've had a team play, or just one of a rare game where everything seemed to fall into line?
They were locked in. We've had other games where we played really well in all three phases, but to see the energy, you don't have your band. It's not a sold out crowd, which I really thought if this game would have been at 100%, it would have sold out. Just the magnitude, taking on Jackson State, which is a rivalry for us, and they're a good football team, and just the magnitude leading up to it. But I really thought they were locked in, Jim, for 60 minutes, and they played extremely well. Yeah, we gave up some plays. They made some plays, but they're a good football team. They got good players. They're going to make plays. But the adversity, when it hit, how our guys responded, said a lot about our coaching staff and our players, and I was pleased with that.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question comes from Keisha.
Hey, Coach, how you doing this morning or afternoon on my side? How are you?
Doing great. How you doing? Nice shirt.
Thank you. Go Jags. Thank you, Coach. My question is in going back, because after your the post game presser on Saturday, I guess with WBRZ, you had the move and speech, and you talked about how you were, I guess, preparing the students and making them into better young men, and everybody's been talking about it, sharing that speech. Can you kind of talk about that speech and how you guys took the knee at the 2-yard line?
Well, exactly. The biggest thing is that we had a good understanding. I realized they weren't going to use their timeouts, and we wanted to run the clock down. And when I look at that and I look across the field and I see those young men, and you understand that the game is over. As a football coach, it's still about decision making. And what we try to talk to our players about is about that decision making process. Yes, we could have just went down to the 1-yard line and said score, but who benefits from that? No one. Southern don't benefit from it. Jackson State don't benefit from it. Those young men that are playing that football game, they fought to the end. And I respect that. I respect who they are as a program, and I respect the players that they have in that program. But as a father and a mentor, African-American males have been scoring a long time in life. That decision was an opportunity for us to say, game over, well played, very competitive. Take a knee, everybody can go home and think about how we can get better. But we did it for the respect of our program, but also the respect of the young man that's playing for Jackson State.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Next question comes from Kevin.
Hey, Coach, when you looked at the stat sheet after the game and you saw that you guys possessed the ball for nearly 43 minutes, I guess, what went through your head, I guess, to the fact that y'all dominated like that?
Third down. That means we had to be really, really good on third down. And I thought our offense was excellent on third down. I thought our defense was excellent on third down. And other than option football, that's really the last time that I probably played in the game where we possessed the ball like that. I thought we executed well. And when you do that, it gives you a chance to be successful. And it's been a long time since we possessed the ball like that here at Southern University. But that's how you win football games. Time of possession, red zone offense and defense, third down offense and defense, and good special teams. I think that recipe has always proved that it got a chance to be successful.
Next question comes from Rashad.
Good morning, Coach. Yeah, just following up on that with that time of possession. I know you alluded to it in your opening statement. You gave a shout out to the offensive line, but with such a successful run game like you guys had last week, do you think time of possession had anything to do with that, wearing that defense now?
Well, anytime you're playing that many snaps, and I don't know what the snap differential was, somewhere around 30, but that you don't want to be on the field as a defense that many snaps. And what I try to tell our staff all the time is that most importantly, teams running the football, it takes a lot out of you when you have difficulty stopping the run. And that's draining. And I really thought once we realized that, our guys did a great job of continuing to stick with what was working. And sometimes as offensive coordinators, that's hard to do. A lot of people want to see the ball go in the air, want to see the ball go down the field. But here at Southern University, as I said earlier, we're about winning football games. And however we can do that, whatever recipes working that day, we have to be able to adjust and stick with it. And I take my hat off to the offensive side of the ball for sticking to what was working.
I have time for two more questions. Our next question comes from Donald.
Good morning, Coach Odums. How are you?
Good morning.
Assess the play of your quarterback, Ladarius Skelton, please.
Well, I thought he played, really well. He went the right places with the ball. We was off target with some of my throws. I thought the decision making was good. He ran the ball really well. He did a great job of reading his keys and making sure he pulled it and gave it at the right time. But we had a couple of throws there that we thought we should have completed. And we was going to play both. That was the decision that we had before the game even started. So we didn't replace him. We thought it was a great time to bring John in, and John did an outstanding job. But we got to set our feet and make those throws. And when Skelton do that, he's as good as a passer as anybody.
And then lastly, or follow-up, is that the plan moving forward in terms of playing both quarterbacks?
I just think every week, sir, we got to look at who we playing and how we can take advantage of them. And if that means playing both, we'll play both. If that means starting one and rolling with it and see how it goes and then adjusting our plan. We have flexibility. We have flexibility in our creativity when it comes to what we want to do on offense. And I really don't know going forward what that plan is going to be. Once we look at film, we'll sit down as a staff and we'll try to put the best plan in place going forward. Now that McDaniel's healthy, I think he's going to have a lot to say over the next 2 weeks at who we play at quarterback. And I like the competition. But right now, Ladarius Skelton is our starter, and we go from there.
Final question comes from Jared.
Hey, Coach, you talk so much about how this was a complete game and how Southern dominated every aspect, offense, defense, special teams. How do you take this performance and catapult it to the Bayou Classic and, any remaining games that would come after such a performance?
Well, today is Move On Monday. We'll make our corrections. This will be the last day we talk about the game we played on Saturday. Come Tuesday, we'll be on to the next game and getting our guys locked in for that. They understand. These guys have played in big games, followed up with big games. They've been in that environment. What we try to do is players, they really go about what you emphasize. And what we emphasize today is let's make our corrections. Let's get better. And then we'll move on to Teach Tuesday and start implementing some new things that we're going to do for the next opponent. And we'll try to get better on Wednesday. And then we'll have concentration Thursday and focus Friday. And then we have super sensational Saturday. That plan doesn't change. It's whatever we emphasize. Our players know that today is the last day we go talk about this game. We done told them you go get pats on the back. Everybody going to be happy. Tell you what a great job you did. We're back to square one. We're back to tilling the ground and getting focused on the next one. And our guys understand that. If they don't understand it, we'll make sure as a staff that we get that point across to them.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking with you next week.
Go Jags. Thank you guys for having me.
Next up, we will move to Texas Southern and Texas Southern Tigers and head coach Clarence McKinney. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, appreciate your patience. I know we are a tad bit behind schedule with your availability, so appreciate your patience there. Coach, obviously no game for you guys this past week with your game against Grambling being canceled. If you could just kind of give us a status update of your program, where you currently stand today.
Currently, we're just getting guys healthy, getting guys back, getting ready for our next opponent, which is Valley in 2 weeks. So as a program, we're focused on improving our fundamentals and our installs, our day one installs as far as our offense, our defense, and our special teams go. And the biggest thing for us is getting guys healthy and getting guys back on the field ready to play.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll now open up the floor for questions for Coach McKinney. Once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Coach, you alluded to preparing for your next opponent on your schedule, which is Mississippi Valley State. Kind of in your early film preparation and study of their team, what are some of the things that have stood out?
They're a team that's getting better each week. Defensively, they play extremely hard. Up front, they have a really good defensive line. Secondary is a group of guys that work well together and they're violent to the ball. Offensively, they're improving. You see them moving the ball versus UAPB. I think they're finally settling in to the scheme that the coaches are asking the players to do.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll open up for questions. First question from our media will come from Terrence.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, Terrence?
All right. Hey, just wanted to ask you, I mean, what has it been like for your team to deal with, not having scheduled games or not being able to play scheduled games? And how have you guys handled that as a coaching staff and as a team?
It's something that it's hard to prepare for, but we expected it just with the whole COVID issues that we've been dealing with for over a year. But we just prepare for each day as if it was a game at the end of that week. So today is our Monday of game week. We're preparing as if it was Monday of a real game week. So we're keeping our schedule as we normally would, and guys are practicing and trying to get better.
But has this been maybe a little more difficult or frustrating than maybe you even thought it could be? I mean, once you kind of deal with it, I mean, dealing with knowing it may happen and dealing with it can sometimes be two different things. I know.
To be honest with you, Terrence, there's nothing you can do about it at the end of the day. So it's about adjusting to the times and controlling what you can control, and a lot of these things are out of our control, and we just go with the flow.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Next question comes from Ken.
Hey, Coach. Terrence kind of stole my thunder on that question, and I'll ask a question similar to what I asked previously with respect to what the mentality was going forward with this spring season. Like I indicated in a previous question with another coach, Commissioner McClellan indicated that he wanted to operate or kind of want the spring season to kind of operate along the lines of what you would typically have during the course of a typical spring session. What has been your mentality in terms of how you would go forward in operating, during this unique season? Do you operate it in the same sense that you would during a typical spring session, or do you operate it in the sense of a typical week-to-week schedule that like you normally would during the fall?
I think in our situation, we're operating as kind of a split spring practice, fall season operation. So we've had 3 weeks without a game. So we've treated those 3 weeks as if we were in spring practice. And so when you're week to week, there's game planning going on each week, and we haven't had an opportunity or hadn't had a team to prepare for about 3 weeks. So we're kind of meshing the two, spring practice with fall season practice.
Any final questions for Coach? Currently taking final questions for Coach McKinney. Coach, as always, we appreciate you taking some time to join us, and we look forward to speaking with you again next week.
All right. Thank you for having us.
We'll next go to Jackson State. We'll be joined by Jackson State Tigers head coach, Coach Sandy.
You up now? Am I on?
Good morning, Coach.
How you doing? I don't see me. I'm trying to figure out where I am. There I go. There I go. I'm sorry. I'm using Dennis's computer. How's everyone?
Doing great, Coach. Thank you so much for asking. Coach, if you could please just start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent game versus Southern.
Most recent game, Southern came in and did a fantastic job. Well, Coach, they played the game like the game was supposed to be played. They dominated us up front physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. They had 59 rushes, 294 yards. They sacked us 4 times. They kept the ball for 42 minutes to our 17. They held us to 1 for 8 on 3rd downs and 0 for 2 on 4th downs. They were very dominant. That is not indicative to who we are and how we get down. Prayerfully, we fixed it. We had a great practice today, short and quick. Watched film, went over the scouting reports. We'll have coaches present tomorrow to introduce the new game plan, which we do on Tuesdays oftentimes, so we give them Sundays off. But hopefully, prayerfully, you see a whole nother attitude and preparation. We were not concise and consistent in nothing we did.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. We'll now open up the floor for questions for Coach. Once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize your raise your hand feature to get in queue to ask Coach a question. Our first question comes from Tyler.
Hey, Coach Sanders. Good morning, sir.
How you doing, man?
Good, good. I know everybody's got a lot of football questions. I want to ask something totally different really quick. I was reading in USA Today this morning about the new sponsorship deal that Pepsi has with the SWAC.
Wonderful
You've had
deal.
a relationship with Pepsi for a while.
Since the 90s.
Yes. And part of the deal, Pepsi is going to hire a student athlete from each of the institutions in the SWAC. Could you just talk about the significance of that deal and what things like that do for the conference?
First of all, we got to sit back and really understand what you just said, how profound and prolific what you just said. That is an unbelievable deal for all of us. That's an unbelievable deal for our people. That's an unbelievable deal for HBCUs across the country. That's an unbelievable deal for the SWAC. I'm sitting up here looking at one of the deal points. This 3-year deal goes well beyond the branding partnership. Certainly, I'm one of the ambassadors for this, but they're going to continue their commitment to work with HBCUs in various phases and various facets, but just the hiring and commitment to a student from each participating university is phenomenal, man. Because now it's not just about sports, it's about being professionals. And that's what I've been saying since I arrived. We're going to train our people to be professionals, not just professional athletes.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, my man. Great question.
Next question comes from Rashad.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing today?
How you doing, boss?
I'm doing well. After the game on Saturday, you apologized to the Hall of Famers. I don't know if you saw it, but Jimmy Smith responded to that saying, "Stay patient. We love you." When you get that type of feedback from those Hall of Famers, how much does that love mean to you?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
How much does that love mean to you when those Hall of Famers give you that love and encouragement?
It means a lot. First of all, I have a relationship with each of them. It's not like a distant type of relationship. We text back and forth weekly, and Jimmy and I have known each other for quite some time. But to I call him Mr. Barney, and some of the guys that are really important to me here. We have a relationship, and we text back and forth. We keep up with one another, and I want to know about their well-being as well, not just about football. So that's phenomenal, man. I mean, I'm hearing for so much more than football. Football is the number one focus, and we must win games. But we got to change the culture, change the environment, change the communities in every facet, in every way imaginable. That's the purpose.
And a follow-up on that, you talked about it last week before the game, first game on ESPN without a number behind it since 1989.
Right.
Being there now, just what does that exposure mean to you?
I think it means something to not just to me, to everyone. I read it somewhere. Dennis Meyer told me that was Southern's first time. And shoot, they played their butts off, man. Isn't that a bonus? Isn't that a plus for us? They played their butts off. They line executed profoundly. They made some plays on the back end. The field goal kicker did a phenomenal job. They blocked the punt. Guys, it had to be at least one scout, one personnel person from the NFL watching that game, and a guy may get an opportunity to play in the league just because of that, man. I think it's phenomenal. And we're playing again this week on ESPN. So it's phenomenal what the SWAC is doing.
Thank you, Coach.
And I heard we're putting patches on our jerseys next year, right? Yeah, I like that. So we can be identified. I like that. I don't know if it's been that way, but I know SEC has that and other conferences. I love that, every aspect of it.
Next question comes from Charles.
How you doing, Coach?
How you doing, sir?
Hey, I wanted to ask this question, and you made a statement in the post-game presser that as a coaching staff, you have to do a better job of communicating what it is that you see to the player. And I wanted to ask, was it a schematic issue when you have Southern run for almost 300 rushing yards, or was it an effort issue?
It was a little bit of both. I started off the meeting today and asking these guys, were you taught properly? Did you understand every call? Did you this? Did you that? And they all agreed. I said, well, that means we got to do better as a whole. So when I had the offense pull up 6 plays and the defense pull up 6 plays and the special teams pull up a few plays that we just didn't execute, we were not on the same page. We didn't communicate whatsoever. So when you pulling up this stuff and you say, okay, and this was the call, this is what you should have done, this is what we should have done, this is what should have happened, should have transpired, and we're not getting that. Now that's a bigger issue. That's not just a call, that's personnel, that's understanding what is asked of you, that's not being selfish, understand you're going to sacrifice for a teammate if you got to be in that A gap to provoke that cutback. It's so many things goes into one play. And rarely do you have 11 guys giving it 100% on the same particular play. It's just up to that offense or defensive coordinator to find that one who's not going to give it his all and expose him. One guy on the darn punt, one guy not doing his job, provoked the punt to be blocked. Turns around, you're going for a touchdown for it. So this is a team sport, but it's comprised of a bunch of individuals doing a job.
Sure thing.
But we got to do better all the way around, coaching wise as well as players. We got to do better, man.
Sure thing.
I don't make no excuses for anything, man, but we got to do better. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I tell you, I try to give it to you, but I got to protect some things too, man. These kids have feelings.
No doubt about it. With regards to, it's kind of been a running theme now with special teams going forward. A couple more games left. Any personnel changes that might happen?
Oh yeah. It was musical chairs in there today. Oh, definitely going to be some personnel changes. 100%. When you show us who you are, I got to believe you. We got to win, man. We got to make you guys proud. We got to make those Hall of Famers that Mr. Milligan talked about proud, man. And proud to come back here. We got to make those alumni proud. We got to make the SWAC proud. We want to put out a good product on the field so the whole country can watch two teams go at it and play some good, fundamentally sound football. That's the product that we want to display. And I'm pretty sure Alabama A&M as well.
Sure thing. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, my man.
Next question comes from Mo Carter.
Hey, good morning, Coach Sanders. How are you, sir?
How you doing? Real daddy on the great. Real daddy.
Yes, sir.
Real daddy.
multitasking. So yeah, of course, you're going to be facing an Alabama A&M football team that's very hungry to play a game. Offensively, they're led by quarterback Aquill Glass, a potential pro prospect, and he's got some other great guys at the receiver position like Brian Jenkins Jr., Xavier and Moore, Adu Fatai Ibrahim. I know you're a defensive guy, so schematically, what are you looking at to try to attack and contain this offense?
Well, today is the last day that we flush this last game. So we haven't put in the scheme as of yet. Looking in and peeking in on means and understanding and watching film on what they do. The guys you mentioned are pretty good. They can get the job done. We got to do the best that we can to get the job done. We had a corner go down. I don't know if he's going to be available for this week. We're praying that he's able to make it back. But we got to play ball, man. We got to challenge some people. From the first play of the game on, we did not challenge anybody and make them earn everything, and we got to challenge them. They definitely have an offensive-minded coach, a quarterback that can spin it, some guys that can go down there and go get it. We have to challenge people on every single play and make them earn it.
And what will be your message to your team, considering the fact that, like, basically you need to win this game to remain in competition for the East Division title?
You just said the message. We got to win this game. You just gave it to me. I appreciate you, Dad.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good luck this week.
Thank you, my man.
Any final questions for Coach? Coach, as always, thank you for taking some time.
And God bless you. Bless you. I appreciate you all. D, I love JSU.